All right. Patch note day tomorrow. Also, mute your own stream. There we go. Cool. All right. I have not looked at these yet. So, actually, I read the first one. Um, it seems like blocking could be good with this guy, right? Like the notes say that they want somebody that can score points in the block team, which giving team block is the way to do it. Challenger seems like he gives a ton of stats. Grants 20 offense, rebound, defense, playmaking, 3 point, block and steal. I think 23 point, that's interesting. Um he's got to shoot 8, which is a lot. Definitely seems like could be something playable. This is a speed guy. The current deck I have that uses block and stuff. Okay, patch downtime. Um, let's see here. This deck, I think, can use this guy, but he's very expensive. 33 million. Will require entire rework of this team. Right now, I just have like these guys in the bench for scoring. So like, I could probably make him work if I don't need him. This team kind of just didn't work well. I had those sideboard guys or those bench guys to score points. So if I have someone in the main lineup that can score points, then see, he shoots 8. So he shoots 8. High flyer shoot 4. Pass just like a auto attack shoot 5. Interesting. And what's this team block 2? Does this say team block 2? Team block 2. This is not a 50% trigger. This is a 100% chance. So like that's pretty. It's very very strong. And like generating offense off your defense allows a certain type of deck building where you can almost exclusively focus on defense and generate offense out of it. And the more offense your opponent generates, the um, same off the you generate a similar amount of offense, so you never get like super blown out. I don't know what this activate 2 means. Team block 2, activate 2. I don't know what that means. Because everything else just says Team block, right? Team block. So like we could play, what's this guy's name? Morand, DJA Morand. This guy gives tough, which is, see, Morand himself doesn't have a lot of block, but like cards like this have a lot of block and teamwork. So you'd still have to have the same core. I don't think you can fit Atten in this deck as well. So maybe Robert Williams. Some players have tough. He has teamwork and high flyer. Is there any high flyer type of synergies? Other than just having like high offense, high accuracy. Hmm. Are there any other auras that give block? There's like Enforcer, is that? That's not block, right? Enforcer is block. Okay. So yeah, Randall is obviously incredibly good. Crowder is incredibly good. Okay, so strength teammates have Enforcer, teammates have strong. So if there's like a way we could play this guy over Derek White here to score points, that's just so expensive. The thing is, like, good. Well, maybe we can run something like this. This guy has okay block. But like good block is very, very expensive to generate. All right, sorry, I'd step away. Yeah. I mean, when you're talking about good block, you're talking about like teamwork with 20%. Brute get more. Sabna. Hey, you're the developer, right? Yeah, I saw you in Discord. Cool. Um, yeah, I don't know if I have any questions specifically. I'm just starting on the patch notes. I've been playing for a week now, probably, or 5 days or so, 3 days. I don't know. It all blends together. I'm interested in the league stuff, and I'm interested in where this game goes. This is a cool game. I'm not a basketball fan at all. I don't watch. I've barely heard of a couple of these people. So I like it as a card game. As a card game, it's really, really fun and really interesting and very complicated. I love how like nuanced and interactive and intricate all the little pieces are. You never see that from a game that was just released. Like most games are released, and they're like super simple and basic and baby and are boring in 3 days. But this game, it seems like it has a lot of depth. So yeah, I'll be excited to see where it goes. Yeah, but this guy, I don't know. He's very expensive, and block is already expensive to generate. Oh yeah, I did have a question. What does this block two mean? Why does it say it says activate two, team block two? Like, why does it have the two there? So in the notes, DJ Moreland says block two in the passives rather than like Derek White, for example. He says team block. He doesn't have a one or a two. So does it just trigger every other time then? It's a gotcha. Do you change? Is that change for everybody? Is all the cards going to be changed that way? All right, Desmond Bean, Bean, Desmond Bind, Bean. All right, this guy, movement archetype, momentum scorer. He has nimble. So every other 3 point, he gets a bonus shot. Every 2 movement, he gets bonus meter. 18 million. He doesn't move himself. Usually when you're looking for strong cards and archetypes, uh, cards both have the synergy themselves and enable the synergy. This card does not enable the synergy, so your other movement cards, he doesn't trigger your other movement cards, so my initial glance at this card, it seems probably better options. Brandom is intended to be an anti-debuff score. Ooh, anti-abuse, huh? Yeah, anti-abuse. Let's see here. Team debuff 4, bonus pass 2. Interesting that this is team debuff 4, bonus pass 2, rather than team debuff 2, bonus pass 1. It seems like it initially looks like it would be the same thing, but it's clearly not. It's less good against decks that have a little bit of debuffs, a little bit of control, but still like very strong against yeah, very still the same power level against decks that do a lot of debuffing, uh, like this deck. Decks that have tons and tons of debuffs That card's going to be very strong. This deck, I've heard tale of it being too strong. I don't know the meta. I've not played competitive, so I don't know. There's never been like a competitive scene, so I don't know. There's no ladder. There's no like this is the best deck. But this deck is incredibly strong with the games that I've played with a friend of mine and the ladder itself. You get um, this mechanic exploit. Whenever you debuff somebody, you get lots of triggers. Shoot the ball lots of times, and you just bounce these guys in and out, debuffing the enemy team, and cards like this give rebounding down, and you get lots and lots of free shots while preventing your opponent from being able to do much because they have all these stat down traits. This is the deck. I think this is like the boogie. It's from reading a little bit on the forums or on the Discord. It seems like this is kind of like the boogeyman of the format. Um, I don't know if that's actually true, but it seems to be the thing that people are worried about. And this gives you a card. It's interesting. Interesting that this is the answer that has been presented. Let's see. Rebounding all to all. Give an opponent aggressive. So like aggressive is I think better. Like aggressive 2 and defense up, or aggressive 2 in general is I think a better solution to these types of decks that generate lots of triggers than this ability, this bonus pass ability. Like fouling out, like when people are generating 10, 15 shots, you just make them aggressive and then they foul out. You could put them aggressive too, and then they just foul out. Like, um, you don't have to go through a lot of hoops to shut down that deck. And I use the word shut down very specifically because you can play a $5 million card on your bench that like prevents them from doing their engine. You just put this in front of Jalen, put this in front of this guy, or you put this in front of Bogdan, and he no longer like operates. So these cards exist as a answer. I think this card seems good. Like 16 million is a good price for a starter. 72 stamina is great. Good stats. Aggressive to shut down somebody. This is an opponent, so you don't have to be matched up against them. So you can target whoever the problem person is on their team. Somebody that already has 5, 10 shot triggers already stacked up. Give them aggressive, foul them out. Very, very good. And then you have a little bit of scoring to go along with it. Team offensive rebound. He get a pass as well. Like just an all around like it's just like a little bonus on the top. I think that's a decent card. Probably we'll see play. Let's see. Dylan Burks. Clutch blocker, shut down. There we go. Oh, and then automatic switch. Ooh, I don't know if in my experience with the automatic switch, a dominated teammate, has been a drawback. It looks sweet on paper, and it's probably really good if you're playing like an exclusively offensive type of build where you don't really care about your matchups. You just want a good offensive matchup. You don't really care about defending. But this shutdown trait is counter to this switch dominated trait. So you'll have to be very careful, very precise in what you're doing to get the right matchup for this guy, to get at the right time. I have to open up my handy dandy cheat sheet here. What so this counter skill. Okay, so will counter skill. So if we're talking about a card like Bones or Bogdan or whoops. Joe Harris. I guess like switching to any of these on this team is probably fine. Just depends. I don't know. I'd have to, it's one of these is one of those things that you'll need to see play out. Him having 69 stamina, a little low. Stats are fine. Playmaking 73 is good. And then he gives an opponent minus stamina and aggressive. Get aggressive. The dirty play ability, is this a cooldown one? I assume this is a cooldown one dirty play, right? See, so if dirty plays in this slot, is it cooldown two? That's how it works with other cards. See, so this is a cooldown one though, and Pat Bev is a cooldown two. Either way, with only 69 stamina, he won't be able to activate it twice. I like counterattack. This is actually cool synergy, the dirty play with counterattack. That's interesting. Dirty play with counterattack's a really interesting synergy, like a self synergy here. It's an interesting card. To be honest, I would initially look for the cheap substitution option. Like a tech card like Najee Marshall for this ability, the shutdown ability. But this card might be better as like a starter. I mean, it's clearly better as a starter, but I don't know. It doesn't have like an identity, a deck that it would go into. I don't know if there's a deck that exists that can just play all the tech, all the counter stuff, all the shutdown stuff, and be competitive and not itself be abusing some sort of resource generation. It's usually the way that card games go, though. Like in the beginning, thanks for the follow. In the beginning, the card games almost exclusively are aggressive, right? Like the archetypes are aggressive. The archetypes very proactive, very linear, very focused on attacking, focused on their game plan. You see that in almost every card game, every format. You like the mono red decks and the aggro decks are the ones that in a new format initially like become very popular and very strong because they're very obvious. And then once that meta is established, then the control counter meta decks normally start to flourish because once the meta has been established, then you can look to optimize how to counter that. Um, Before it's established, you're just like rolling dice to see what your matchup is. You have no idea. You can't really play any odds. You don't have no context for what you're countering. So maybe, once the smoke clears, once the game has a few months to settle, um, a card like this will become very, very good. Because he does have like good shooting, good stamina, this good synergy here. All around, seems like a good card. Steel meter is always super strong. 9 steel is a good number. For a bit of everything. You've been to a movement deck. Hold on, how's he? Oh, team switch. Oh, yeah, he gets a team switch trigger. Prevents shot generation and becomes a powerful defender in the fourth quarter. Clutch blocker. Yeah, strong defenders with counter attack. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, he'd be good. Could be good. Could be good. So you're Jareem Jackson Jr. Strongest defensive players in the Will archetype. One of the best blockers in the game due to combination of teamwork, self buff on foul. Awesome. I love contact. Like having contact as a trait that gives you buff. I just love this ability. It's so cool. Like just like that, like push your luck, fun, get something out of it. Yeah, you're gonna give them a couple of free throws, but in return you're getting enough stats and hopefully by the end of the game you're a monster and you don't fall out. There's so much, it's just so cool. Like this one little small synergy thing. Teamwork is really cool to go along with our our highlight card here, our legendary $33 million All Star here. Um, he starts with 15 block. 15 block is a lot. 15 block is a lot. Cleanse and remove bonus passes. Okay. So we have another. Is it see the move and or the cleanse and remove bonus shots. Oh, and you get a foul. That's cool. You get to trigger your contact if your enemy is avoiding your contact. Um, then you can just create yourself. Also, this like cleansing bonus shots and bonus passes is yet another tool to deal with the exploit team buff type of decks. Um, Steel turn counter again. He has 6 steel, 15, only 65 stamina. Um, but let's see here, 19 million. Let's look at someone like compare him to someone like this, right? This guy's teamwork. This guy's more offensive, obviously, but he's got 15 block and he costs 14 mil, and he has like no stamina. So comparatively, I think he's definitely better in a defensive oriented attitude or style. Um, just the more stamina is huge, and the higher he has like super low playmaking too. Though the 15 playmaking is so brutal. And getting turn meter on steel when you only have 6 steel. I mean, he might get two. He probably get 2 turns. He's just a wall, really. He's not going to have a lot of turns. He's just going to be a wall. This cleanse. See, the thing is, this tactical foul, you clear the bonus shots and stuff. You have to use that at such a precise time. And only having 25 playmaking, the chances of that lining up. Yeah, his strength does get buffed. I guess that's a good point. The strength does get buffed when he fouls. So he could have 30 strength or 30 steel. 31 steel. Yeah, that's pretty sick actually. Okay. I mean the double-edged sword on this guy is that the higher his steel, the higher his block, the more he's going to foul, right? So he's going to only be at that he's only going to be at that high stat phase for a very short time. 4 to 5 activations. That's really good. That's an extra 2 turns. Extra turn and a half. Yeah, he fouls out very quickly. Yeah, that's what I was just saying. Like the stats, the more stats he has, the faster he's gonna foul out. The more fouls he has, the more fouls he'll get, right? Which is cool. Like that's what contact does. Um, but I mean, the thing is, like, yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, teamwork definitely gives you ×3 chances to foul. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it also just gives you ×3 chance to interact with the game, right? And having team block. I mean, all you want is team block. I mean, if you have like this guy and Baruch, right? Like that's how much is that? I said that's 30 million, 32, 3 million. Um, that's a lot of investment into a secondary card. But you have like this guy and this guy in your starting lineup, and then just hope you get far enough ahead or have some sort of substitution plan that can keep you in the game. Because, like, fouling out isn't all that much different than running out of stamina. Like, if you're in the game for 3/4, 2.5 quarters, and foul out, like, that's not all that much different than, just playing the game. And then he has all this upside of, like, all these stats, right? So, it's not that huge of a drawback. Like, the one cool thing that I've seen in the um, stat line is number of actions. Right? So there's over here ACT is actions, right? So the number of actions in a game is like a really good heuristic to have. Like that's obviously these are all basketball stats, but actions is something I look at pretty frequently. And I bet this guy. Well, the thing is, like, he's getting lots of blocks and getting lots of steals and that stuff. So that those really don't count towards actions either. But steals count towards actions. I think that this guy's probably having even though he's fouling out, he's probably having as much, if not more, impact than an average card. You're just gonna need to have a point. You're just gonna need to know that in advance and have a bench that can carry the game as well. I mean, that's the I think that's the problem with this card in general. Like, 33 million. 33 million is so expensive. If you're gonna fit a card like this, and a card that's going to foul out, your your bench is going to be really tight. Opponent lock with contact is good. Opponent lock with contact is good. Opponent lock. Switch with a teammate, get defense up, and steal up for 2 turn with contact. How does it synergize with contact? Or are you just saying that like more stats, like getting steal up and getting more stats along with your steal meter, um, is just good in general? Like buffing your defense and buffing your defense. Yeah, hitting like a no contact is you foul. Contact does not. Contact does not. You have contact, not him. Yeah, it's the other way around. It's not like Kyle. You're thinking Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry has defendant has contact. Whoops. It's just a game. You're thinking something like Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry gives your defending opponent contact, whereas this card. Whoops. This card is like this guy where you have contact. So you are the one that gets the fouls. But you're not shooting, so like you're not losing offense from what you're saying. But um, yeah, yeah. Yeah, game is complicated. No worries. That's why we're discussing it to figure out all the details on stuff. This is the best part about this game is like how complicated and nuanced and like this is a very memorable trait. It's easy to think that you want to give that to somebody, and yeah, you definitely do. But this is the guy. There's a bunch of cards that have contact, and then you get bonuses whenever you foul, which is cool. Let's see here. Stevie Adams. Stevie is an excellent rebounder. Also comes with the benefit of giving boxed out. I absolutely love boxed out. The drawbacks of being a strength player are that largely negated by having set play. Pure clear ISO, which allows him a large turn meter boost another player. 50% turn meter? Nice. Or 50 turn meter, not 50%. I don't know. How big is a turn meter? Is a turn meter 100? He's got Worm. He's got Jason players are tough. Opponents boxed out. 66 stamina. Drawbacks of being a strength player. Yeah, that's interesting self-report there. Switch with an adjacent teammate, give them offense up. $50 turn meter to give 50. It's 50 turn meter to give 50. So what were you saying? It's 50 turn meter to give 50? Oh, okay. So this is something that I noticed I was questioning in my brain, and your comment I think clarifies what I was trying to figure out. The stat here, it moves when I move my ability, but you see that it's 100 seconds, um, it's 100 energy. So your energy goes to zero when you use this ability, right? So your turn meter goes to zero when you use this ability. Is that, or sorry, it doesn't go to zero. You lose 100 turn meter when you use this ability. I see. That makes more sense now that abilities use turn meter. Abilities cost turn meter. This makes more sense now. Okay. Yeah, most skills cost 100. Yeah, that's the reason I didn't notice it, or I didn't even think about it. Um, it's because most of them cost 100, and then I was like mousing over these, and I'm like, what's this 50 turn meter symbol mean? But that makes sense. Like it costs turn meter to use this ability. That's gonna change the way I play the game quite a bit now that I understand that. You can manage your stamina a lot better. You get one more ability out without getting out of the game. The thing is, like, a lot of these cards are so well designed, so tightly designed that it just lines up perfectly and you don't notice it. Because like Pat Bev, for example, like you use this, and then you're just out of stamina. So there's not a lot of decision making in that realm. But yeah, it's cool that that's another lever that you have for balancing, or for card design, and from a player's perspective, play decisions. Um, let's see here. This is my favorite card. Um, yeah. So the reposition. What card am I most hyped about for this new? I don't know yet. Let's. I've only gotten through. I'm only to this card. Let's see. I've only gotten to the Stevie Adams. Um, I think this guy so far. I think this guy so far. I love Contact. I think this guy synergizes really well. I think that he's at the right price point. I think that um, I've already tried to make the block team work. I don't know if this card at this price point fits, because the traits that you want for the block deck are very expensive already. Getting high block, getting teamwork, um, getting a set of skills that are playable is a very like expensive card already. Rightfully so. Like you gotta pay a price for turning defense into offense. That's very, very powerful. So I don't know if this card fits in that. archetype, but I'm pretty sure this card does. And also the Will archetype. I think Will is the most interesting single color, like monocolor, and the most interesting like defense deck, like just pure shutdown defense deck. So for all those reasons, this card. I think boxed out. So back on this card, I think boxed out is very strong. Um, card like what's it? What's the card name? Janus. Just Worm in general, right? Worm is an incredibly powerful effect. This card is. This card could be very, very degenerate. He can just go forever and get infinite turns. Um, a card like this, being able to shut down a card like this is very important. And if it's already on a card that you're gonna want to play in your deck, um, he has Worm himself. He has Tough. Um, can you have this like turn meter up thing, which the developer says only costs 50 stamina or 50 turn meter to use. So it's very, very strong support type card. Adjacent players are tough. You get to switch around who's tough. You get to switch yourself and find the right target to box out. Like you always switch with adjacent, but still that's fine. Red normally doesn't have a problem switching around, so yeah, this is cool. This card seems like it could find the spot in the right deck. Um, again, we run into the thing of like, what defensive answers do you need in a defensive deck? And you might need like boxed out might be something that you need in your defensive deck, especially if you have like a defensive deck with like one offensive threat. Giving ISO, giving a turn meter to that one offensive threat is going to be huge. Dan Grin, 6 mil, gold, rare card. Here we go. This is the interesting stuff, the overlooked stuff. Team Steel get a bonus shot. Okay. Do we have that type of effect? Wrong type of steel. Yeah, we do have that type of effect. Roberto Covington, Team Steel, shoot. Deontay Murray, Team Steel, shoot. Contact Pacifist. This guy is really cool, the Contact Pacifist guy. So we already have like cards that already synergize with Team Steel. We give our Team Steel. The problem with stealing is that your opponent has control over it. When your opponent has control over your triggers, then it becomes a little bit awkward. Now, if they're playing like Exploit or Team Buff and they don't have control over their past triggers, then becomes really good. That guy was how much? The guy's 6 million. Yeah, that might be play. That might slot right in. Switch to the teammate and give them 20 stamina. Good. Opponent D offense down. That synergizes and shoot 3. Yeah. So I love this like drive and press. Like you give your opponent offense down, shoot 3, generating offense and defense at the same time. Steal 20 to 30 meter. Cool. It's definitely a good role player. 53 stamina is a little bit rough, but you can't expect too much from a $6 million card. Speed Stopper. Speed Stopper on a strength card. Does that not exist? Okay. Skill blocker, speed stopper. So roll block against all speed shots. Okay. It could be good. And then stopper is just defense against speed. I don't think... Yeah, okay. This guy. Interesting. He has some shoots and this. Yeah. Substituting, get a tier 1 buff. Get a tier 1 buff. Substituting, give your team a tier 1 buff. I don't know. Seems okay. He only has 28 playmaking, so he's not going to replace. He's not going to replace the other things that abuse this strategy. So, he's not going to replace JD. JD's already got 72 playmaking. Derrick Rose 74. Joey 46. So he's not gonna like fill that role, I don't think. But like giving your whole team a buff on substitute in is incredibly powerful. And then he's got the speed matchup thing if you want to, substitute